Alden, a city kissed by time, still bore witness to the memories of a tight-knit group of friends. Their footprints were etched onto the streets they once roamed, the places they frequented, and most fondly, the high school football ground where many of their shared stories began. On this chilly October evening, the soft glow from the streetlights bathed the empty football field in a dim, golden hue. The worn-out bleachers, which had witnessed countless games and youthful banter, were about to play host to the echoes of the past. Michael, having left Alden to chase his dreams in New York, had felt a yearning to reconnect. The bustling life of a journalist in the city had distanced him from simpler times. His idea of a reunion had been warmly welcomed by the group. Sarah had traded the playful corridors of Alden High for the pristine halls of a Boston hospital. Her delicate hands, which once cheered for the school's football team, now expertly performed surgeries, mending the fragile thread of life. Lucas, in a twist of fate, had become a beacon of knowledge at their very own Alden High. His passion for literature was now being passed on to the next generation, ensuring the stories of old and new remained alive. Emily, the dreamer of the group, had found solace in her art. Her studio in Seattle was filled with canvases that portrayed the essence of Alden, a city she had never truly left behind. Joshua had moved to Chicago, arguing cases with the same fervor with which he had once debated in school. His eloquence, a gift, had found its rightful place in the courtrooms. Rebecca, with her insatiable curiosity, had delved into research. Her laboratory in San Francisco was a testament to her relentless pursuit of answers, a trait she had displayed even during their school science projects. As the group congregated on the bleachers, there was a sense of unspoken understanding. Time had moved on, but the bonds forged during their formative years in Alden were unbreakable. The evening was spent reminiscing, with laughter echoing and memories being revisited, setting the stage for events none could foresee. The sun stretched its arms over Alden, casting an amber hue on the town's brick buildings and tree-lined streets. The familiarity of the town's cafe, with its vintage charm and aroma of freshly baked pies, was where the group had decided to meet next. Michael, a storyteller at heart, brought out old photographs, capturing moments when life was simpler. There they were, dressed for Halloween, posing by the lake, or cheering at a school event. Each photograph was a portal to a past they fondly remembered. However, amid the laughter and recollections, Lucas, who had always been the observant one, noticed Emily's distant gaze. Her attention was fixed on an old photograph that showed a larger group of friends. Among them was Caroline, a vibrant soul who had moved away after high school and lost touch. The weight of her absence seemed to linger in the air, an unsolved mystery that none had dared to explore. Sarah's medical intuition picked up on Emily's discomfort. She remembered how close Emily and Caroline had been. Their friendship was the stuff of legends, two inseparable souls who seemed to understand each other without words. Joshua, trying to lighten the mood, spoke of his recent courtroom victories and the intricacies of the legal world. His animated tales brought a semblance of warmth to the gathering, but the undercurrent of Caroline's memory persisted. Rebecca, ever the inquisitor, couldn't hold back. She broached the subject, asking Emily about the last time she had heard from Caroline. Emily's voice, usually filled with vigor, was subdued as she spoke of a letter she had received years ago. It was filled with Caroline's dreams, hopes, and a hint of something darker. A cry for help that Emily had dismissed as a mere phase. As the shadows grew longer, the mood became contemplative. The day had begun with joyous reunions, but the specter of a long-lost friend and the weight of unspoken guilt brought a chill that had little to do with the weather. The gathering at the cafe was a reminder that while some memories brought warmth, others carried the cold of unresolved pasts. The Alden Public Library, with its vast collection of historical records and newspapers, stood as a testament to the town's rich past. Its tall wooden shelves and ladders, along with the ever-present smell of old books, gave it an aura of wisdom. Emily, the day after the gathering at the cafe, found herself drawn to this place. She hoped to find answers or at least some semblance of closure about Caroline. Armed with a steaming cup of coffee, she began her exploration in the archives section, sifting through old newspapers and yearbooks. Hidden amidst the faded pages of an Alden High yearbook, she stumbled upon a clipping that spoke of Caroline winning a local art competition. The accompanying photograph displayed a beaming Caroline, her face alight with pride and ambition. The artwork she had created depicted a group of friends, remarkably similar to their own group, standing at the edge of a foreboding forest. A shadowy figure lurked in the background, its presence almost ethereal. As Emily delved deeper, she uncovered more clippings that chronicled Caroline's growing acclaim in the art world. But as the timeline progressed, a change in tone was evident. Articles began to hint at Caroline's struggles with mental health, her growing reclusiveness, and a series of disturbing artworks that mirrored her inner turmoil. In one of the more recent articles, an art critic described Caroline's work as a haunting blend of reality and nightmare, a cry for understanding in a world that often turns a blind eye. Emily felt a pang of guilt. Had she been one of those who had turned a blind eye? Lost in her thoughts, Emily was startled by the sound of hushed voices. Following the sound, she found Sarah and Lucas, deep in conversation by a secluded reading nook. Their expressions were grave, and the topic of discussion was evident: Caroline. Lucas had come across an old journal, believed to belong to Caroline. The writings within were fragmented, oscillating between moments of clarity and despair. References to the shadow, the watcher, and the final gathering were repeated, each entry more frantic than the last. The trio, united by concern and a growing sense of dread, realized that their past was catching up. The story of Caroline was not just a tale of a lost friend, it was a harbinger of events yet to unfold. The sun set early in Alden, casting long, sprawling shadows that played tricks on the eyes. With each passing day, the town seemed to grow colder and more ominous. Residents, once friendly and open, now hurried home before nightfall, bolting their doors and shutting their blinds. A palpable tension gripped the community. James, who had been unusually silent during the cafe meeting, found himself at the town's outskirts, near the dense woods that surrounded Alden. Memories of childhood adventures filled his mind, the games they played, the secrets they shared, and the pact they made. The same woods where they had all promised to always have each other's backs now seemed menacing. He recalled one particular adventure when they had stumbled upon an old, dilapidated house hidden deep within the trees. They had dared each other to enter, and Caroline, always the bravest, had led the way. Inside, they found remnants of a life once lived, old photographs, handwritten letters, and, most intriguingly, a faded painting that eerily resembled Caroline's winning artwork from years ago. They had left the house feeling uneasy, with Caroline noticeably more disturbed than the others. Now, James wondered if that house held answers. Mustering his courage, he decided to revisit the forsaken place. As he approached, the moonlight revealed the same decaying structure, its windows like hollow eyes watching him. But inside, things had changed. The old photographs were gone, replaced by newer ones that chillingly showcased their group. The letters, once filled with words of love and longing, now whispered threats and warnings. The painting, however, remained unchanged, except for one startling detail: the shadowy figure from the background had moved closer to the group of friends, its intent malicious and clear. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew through the broken windows, extinguishing James's flashlight. In the darkness, he felt a presence. Whispers filled the air, echoing the words from the letters. Panic surged through him as he tried to find his way out, but the house's layout seemed to have shifted, turning into a labyrinth. It felt like hours before James finally emerged, gasping for breath, his clothes torn and face pale. The haunting experience confirmed his suspicions. Caroline's art, her fears, and the old house were all intertwined. The shadow that lurked in her paintings was real, and it was drawing nearer. The morning after James's terrifying experience, Alden was shrouded in a thick, impenetrable fog. This wasn't the gentle mist that occasionally rolled into town. It was a dense blanket that muffled sounds and obscured vision, giving the world an eerie, otherworldly feel. James, sleep-deprived and shaken, met Lucy at her parents' old bookstore, a haven they often sought in times of distress. The old wooden shelves, filled with stories of adventure, love, and mystery, comforted them. But today, the place felt different, more silent, as if the books themselves were holding their breath. Lucy, having heard of James's findings, had spent the night poring over old town records and newspapers. She uncovered a chilling tale. About a century ago, a renowned artist, Elias Harker, had lived in Alden. His works, eerily similar to Caroline's, depicted the same shadowy figure. As legend had it, Elias had become obsessed with this entity, claiming it was real and growing closer with every stroke of his brush. Soon after, a series of tragic events struck Alden, eerily mirroring the recent happenings. The most disturbing part? Elias's last painting depicted the shadowy figure standing over the town, dominant and victorious, with the residents portrayed as lifeless puppets. Lucy's face was pale as she recounted the tale. "James," she whispered, "Elias Harker's house is the same one you visited in the woods. The letters, the photos, the painting, it's all connected." James absorbed this, his mind racing. "We need to find out more about Elias and this entity. There's got to be a way to stop it." Lucy nodded, determination in her eyes. "There's an old diary mentioned in one of these records. It's said to contain Elias's personal accounts, his experiences with the shadow, and possibly a way to confront it. But no one knows where it is." They both knew what they had to do. The diary was their best shot at understanding and possibly stopping the looming threat. The past and present were interwoven, and to save their friends and their town, they'd have to dive deep into Alden's dark history.